Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. My name is Sifanul Husna and I'm from Social Linguistic D. I wish you all stay healthy and of course you stay at home. In this nice day, I have a segment from my lecture to explain about the topic of social linguistic. What is the topic? And the topic is language and planning. Before we go to the subject, I will explain what is social linguistics. Social and linguistic. You can look in this PowerPoint. A language is a structured system of communication, and the scientific study of language is called linguistic. And what is the sociolinguistic? Sociolinguistic is a study of language in a relation society, and the part of sociolinguistic which is concerned with language as a social and culture phenomenon. Language and social are inseparable. You can look this image. People around there are many culture and different social, different culture, different language, of course. So in these images, you can look that everyone in the country, everyone in the world have culture and social in her or in his language. And for the next slide, you can look language policy. Before I explain language planning, I will explain about language policy briefly. In Abdul Cher's book, in countries such as Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Philippines, to ensure the security of communication, they need language policy, because people in all countries have one, multilingual. What is multilingual? It means that many languages are used with many variety of language in a certain region. And the second is multiracial. It means that the existence of many variety of ethnics. And the third is multicultural. Multicultural means that various culture in the country. So what is language policy? Language policy is a national guideline and then plans to develop language as a verbal communication tool that can be used accurately throughout the country and can be accepted by all citizens in the world who are linguistically, ethnically, and culturally different. And the next slide, we continue to discuss about language and planning. According to Weinstein, language and planning is a government effort. You can highlight it is a government effort, and it is a long term to change the function of language in society to solve communication problems in this world. Language planning has become a part of modern nation development because real trends in the modern world have made language and nation become unity. For example, progress in Europe over the past 1,000 years, its increase has been called full-fledged national languages, said Wardaw. It is one example that the Europe is succeed to solve the problem communication, and I think it's hard to do because of the different culture in many countries. And then for the next slide, the reason. The reason why those people in this country made language planning. One is different social groups wish to maintain their linguistic identities and interest because they have different linguistic identities and may actively and often violently campaign for recognition. And two is focus on either its status with regard to some other language or variety or its internal condition with a view to changing that condition, or on both of these since they are not mutually exclusive. Status planning changes the function of language or variety of a language and the rights of those who use it. For example, when speakers of a minority language are denied the use of that language in educating their children. Their language has not status. Status itself is a relative concept. It may also be improved or reduced by degrees and usually is. So far as languages and their varieties are concerned, status changes are not only always very slow, are sometimes actually constant, and maybe it is often can move on because they are hard to be changed the language of communication in this world because this world have a different culture. And the next is language planning is carried out by. This is people who use language planning. The first is government department. Second is academies. The third is committees. Fourth is like popular societies like UNICEF, WHO, and ASEAN, and maybe individuals use the language planning too. I have been explained about what is language planning, and according to Covarrubias in 1983, he said that there are 4 typical ideologies that may motivate actual decision making in language planning in a particular society. The first is linguistic assimilation. Linguistic assimilation is the belief that everyone, regardless of origin, should learn the dominant language of the society. For example, the United States applied the policy both internally and externally to immigrants, and for the other example, in the Philippines, where instruction in the schools, in every schools in the Philippines, had to be in English throughout the period in which the United States ruled that country. It's not just Philippines. There are like Malaysia, Singapore. There are have dominant language. It is English language to be instruction in their schools. For the second is linguistic pluralism. Third is the recognition of more than one language. More than one language also takes a variety of forms, so that all or only some aspect of life can be conducted in more than one language in a society. For example, there are countries like Belgium, Canada, Singapore, South Africa, and Switzerland. And the next is vernacularization. Vernacularization is the restoration or elaboration of indigenous language and its adoption as an official language. For example, Bahasa Indonesia in Indonesia. Next, and the fourth is internationalization, is the adaptation of non-indigenous language. For example, English in Singapore, India, and Philippines and Papua New Guinea. You can look these pictures. What is your mother tongue? What was the first language you learned? Moreover, the questions and how they are answered may be politically motivated. The different answers are also subject to a variety of interpretation. During World War II, many people in North America apparently subscribed information concerning either a German ethnic or any ability to speak German. By the 1960th century and 1970th century, the ability to speak Spanish was something to be proud. It's something to be impossible in the United States, just as was the ability to speak French in Canada. But we must remember that we cannot ignore the feelings that people have about who they are, who they speak, and what rights they should have. Such feelings are real. For example, as I mentioned earlier, speaker of Cantonese in China and Mandarin, insist they speak the same language even though linguists deny that they do. Such a feeling or sadness is every bit as important in language planning as is the linguistic fact of the French. So that's all for me, my presentation about language and planning, and hope you guys understand what I mean. And I have a conclusion that language and social are inseparable. They are united. So thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.